Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is my Summerween 2025 Readathon Reading Wrap-Up. This readathon was hosted by the amazing Gabby Reads, and she put on a phenomenal event. Now, I was planning on vlogging the whole thing, but let's be real. That ended up being a vlogging fail. I vlogged days 1 and 2, and I didn't pull the camera out afterwards. And I didn't really get much reading done from Tuesday into Friday, to be honest. So that being said, let's get into the books that I finished during Summerween. Okay, this book I didn't vlog. This one I finished last night, and this is the last one at the wedding by Jason Rekulak. Now, this book was a fascinating experience for me. It's marketed as a thriller, but in all honesty, it reads much more as a mystery suspense. I recommend keeping that in mind when you go into it. That way, you're not expecting a faster pace than what is actually written. It's a slow burn at the start, but if you stick with it, the payoff at the end is 100% worth it. The story is of a man named Frank who is grieving the loss of his wife and struggling to connect with his estranged daughter, Maggie. Maggie, out of the blue, reaches out to Frank to announce her engagement to her fiancé, Aiden. Frank sees this as a chance for them to mend their relationship. However, as we get closer to the wedding, unsettling events start to unfold. The wedding is being held at a summer camp, which is a super unique setting and great for Summerween. And at this summer camp, Frank is starting to think that something is off. As he delves deeper, he uncovers a web of lies, family secrets, and a shocking truth that possibly could shatter everything that he knows. Okay, let's start about the things that I loved about this book. Firstly, I love the exploration of a father's unconditional love for his daughter. Frank's determination to protect Maggie even when she pushes him away is genuinely heartwarming to read. And their relationship isn't a perfect relationship, but it felt all that more real. This book really shines in that it keeps you guessing the entire way through. This is a wedding-centric mystery, which is something I really like reading in summer thrillers. You are constantly figuring out who is doing what, and more importantly, what is going on with Maggie. What is she thinking? What is her motivations? She's a complex character, and piecing together her enigmatic personality was half the fun. And speaking of fun, the summer camp setting was perfect. It was nostalgia, a little bit of the creepy vibes, yet a beautiful destination setting. And the author's use of this isolated setting really helped to propel the mystery. This book is full of conspiracy theories, in addition to what you as the reader are thinking about the entire book, which I thought helped with the pacing and was a fun aspect. It added this extra level of intrigue and paranoia, which for me was so much fun to read. And then there's the classic trope of evil rich men, which I also enjoyed reading. It felt both organic and completely sinister in atmospheric tone. One of the standout moments is the big plot twist at the midpoint. There really isn't much twist up until this point. And this really shifts the novel into a quicker pacing. And from that midpoint on, putting the book down was just not an option for me. And then the ending. I really enjoyed the ending. It wasn't tied up in a neat little bow, but I liked how intentional it was, how thoughtful it was. And I also liked seeing the consequences of the characters' decisions, which is something that's not always shown in an ending, and I found this to be particularly enjoyable. And I loved getting to see Frank's relationship with his sister's foster daughter. Her name is Abigail, and their relationship grow from the beginning of the book where he sees her as a nuisance because this is supposed to be his time to reconnect with his daughter. But then at the end, their two relationship, it was heartwarming to read. I liked the inclusion of foster care and Tammy's education of the trauma that the foster kids go through and the unconditional love she shows these kids. Her heart is a heart of gold, and it was a nice break from the sinisterness of some of the other characters in the book. And I enjoyed really watching Abigail and Frank's relationship. Now, I only have two main critiques. It was a slow burner at the beginning, but to me, it was well worth it for the entire experience of the book. And also, some of the plot points, to be honest, were a bit too convenient, but because I had so much fun trying to figure everything out, I didn't really mind it all that much, which is why I gave this book a 4-star. So let's go back to the beginning and let's discuss the first book I finished. It was a 5-star perfect summer thriller, and that is She Started It by Sian Gilbert. I did talk about this book in the vlog I mentioned, but to be honest, for how much I loved it, I'm going to gush again. The book follows a friend group, 4 friends who still talk today, and they get an invitation to a lavish, all expenses paid, including first-class tickets to an isolated, private Bahama island. However, they get this invitation from a girl that they bullied in high school who they haven't heard of or heard from since their senior year. They cautiously accept it, but each with their own selfish agenda. This isolated tropical paradise was the perfect setting for the book, and it turns sinister very quickly. Old wounds are reopened, secrets begin to unravel, and the women realize they are in for a game in which not everyone will make it off the island alive. Okay, as I mentioned, I thought the isolated Bahama island setting was perfect for summer. It sets up the right setting for an isolated, close-circle mystery, Agatha Christie style, and then there were none story. This tropical setting mixed with the dread of secrets was absolutely phenomenal. The real star of the show for me was the midpoint turn. It is perhaps the best midpoint I have ever read. My jaw was on the floor, and it was masterfully executed. And while I did predict the big twist at the end, I didn't mind it. I still found the book so much fun to read and to watch it all play out. And the fact that knowing what was coming didn't detract from any entertainment, I think shows how well Gilbert plotted this novel. The friend group dynamic in this book was absolutely superb. I love trying to figure out everyone's motivations and secrets, because they were all hiding secrets from each other. Each character felt distinct. Their history together is messy and complicated, which made for fantastic drama and suspense. It also perfectly showcased just how dangerous bullying can be and the effects that bullying has on a person, which is something I also really enjoyed about this novel in particular. And of course, me being me, I loved a bachelorette setting. I love anything wedding in a thriller, to be honest. And honestly, this book really doesn't get any critiques from me other than maybe it was a little bit predictable, but I like trying to figure out the mystery. That's what makes thrillers fun for me. I like getting to see why characters think the way they do, what makes them tick. And this checked every box for me. And I, however, wouldn't read this if you feel like suicidal thoughts and suicide is something that could trigger you, and self-harm being portrayed, because they very much are portrayed. And so those are the people that I would recommend skip this book, is if you're going to be triggered by that, this is not one to pick up. And there you have it. That is my Summerween 2025 Readathon reading wrap-up. Total vlogging fail, but a major winning read. I had a 4-star and a 5-star book this week. I read 2 books, which is awesome considering I read 3 books last month. And I honestly think these books got me out of a reading slump, which is even better. Thanks to Gabby for putting on this event. I look forward to next summer's event. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. Did you participate in Summerween? If so, what was your favorite book that you read this readathon? And if not, what's your favorite thriller you have ever read? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're into bookish content, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my bookish shenanigans. And I will see y'all in the next one. Happy reading.